bullfight. I better not laugh. Okay.
I'm so proud.
So you let me know if you're set, eh? A thumbs up will do for me. Anybody else? Okay, thanks. This is a NASA press statement dated October 27th, 2017. And we are speaking specifically to Jubilee and IBC, and the position is that they must stop ethnic profiling and genocide in Nyanza. Yesterday, the 26th of October 2017, Kenyans resisted ill-advised attempts by the Jubilee Party to impose a farcical election that has only exposed the country to ridicule and left the nation more divided than ever before. We wish to thank all our supporters who heeded our call to stay away from the discredited polls. We also thank Jubilee supporters who saw the charade for what it is and refused to be part of it. Kenyans boycotted the sham in Busia, Kilifi, Mombasa, Kitui, Kisii, Nyamira, Narok, Kajiado, Kitui, Makueni, Machakos, Wajir, Mandera, Garissa, Vihiga, Kakamega, Nairobi, Kisumu, Siaya, Migori, Bungoma, Homa Bay, Samburu, West Pokot, Turkana, and Trans Nzoia. The boycotts were particularly significant because they defied massive amounts of money and other sweeteners that Jubilee heavily invested in trying to buy voters, particularly in places like Nguni, Kivou, Mui, Waita, and Nu wards in Ukambani, and much of the Nyanza and coast regions. By staying away, we have all made the case that indeed we, the people, are sovereign. The citizens have finally opened the servers that the IBC refused to open. The boycott has shown that the so-called numbers and percentages that Jubilee and Uhuru Kenyatta have been talking about were all along fraudulent. Uhuru lost elections in August. He has again lost this sham one, in which he was basically running against himself. Kenyans everywhere have overwhelmingly made a loud statement against Jubilee's electoral farce. We are profoundly concerned at state profiling of a part of our country with sinister, violent motives that could lead to a massacre of innocent people. We are concerned that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission yesterday, 26th of October, postponed the Jubilee enforced repeat presidential election in the 4 Nyanza counties of Migori, Homa Bay, Siaya, and Kisumu to tomorrow, the 28th of October 2017. The Commission cited insecurity as the reason for postponement, saying it would conduct the election after security has been beefed up. This is a wicked attempt at ethnic profiling of the Luo people. Beefing up security here is a euphemism for state preparation to unleash even more lethal force and state violence into these counties than has been witnessed in recent times. We are deeply concerned that Jubilee has now militarized elections. Conducting elections is now being used as an excuse and platform to commit genocide. This is well in line with this government's agenda against the people of these 4 counties. Following the Supreme Court's invalidation of the presidential election on September 1st, the state, through the Ministry of Interior and the National Police Service, has systematically profiled Luo Nyanza as an intransigent zone for the purpose of genocidal pogroms. It has gone on to subject the residents to state violence and terror in which precious lives have been lost. Under the pretext of quelling violence, the police, together with militias in police uniform, have brutalized the residents of the 4 counties. They have killed children, the aged and other innocent people who are not even involved in the peaceful demonstrations against the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. In places like Migori and Bungoma, an official state of emergency appears to have been declared. We note with keen concern that armed and uniformed state agents are now breaking into homes and houses and flashing out innocent people for torture. People are not allowed to walk in formations of more than 2 persons. We are asking IEBC to call off the forced polls. The motive is clearly wicked and evil, and the entire process a sham. Beyond this, we are concerned that this state-sponsored violence is now spreading to engulf parts of West Kenya and Nairobi. We are perturbed about the mayhem in Bungoma today and the loss of life there earlier. Elsewhere, Regan Omondi Otieno was killed in Kariadudi Estate in Babadogo, Nairobi. Paul Omina was shot dead in Mathare North, and Joseph Onyango in Busia Town. He is currently undergoing treatment. 19-year-old Jojo Dhiambo was shot dead in Kondele in Kisumu. Whichever way you look at it, this government is unhappy that the people have rejected it. It has elected to fight back through violence, death, and mayhem. The so-called fresh elections in Luo Nyanza is only an excuse to massacre unarmed citizens. It is also instructive that this zone is largely a Seventh-day Adventist church region. We caution state agents against disrupting Christian worship through a meaningless election exercise, and even worse, violence. In the event that IEBC refuses to listen to wisdom and instead goes on with these meaningless forced polls, we advise the people not to walk into this trap of death. We call on the residents of these counties to stay away from the planned polls. End of statement.
If any questions?
My name is Ken Mujunga. I work with NTV. Your statement reads like you are accusing the IBC of supporting the state in pushing for this agenda that you're saying, the genocide agenda. Are you accusing the IBC of supporting the state in this?
They are working hand in hand. People did not want to participate in the election. The same IEBC kept on telling people that if people don't want to vote, it is their constitutional right. And if people want to vote, they also are exercising their constitutional right. So the people of these counties have already shown in their first attempt that they do not want to vote. So why are they forcing it on them? And they're saying they want to have security beefed up so that they can force this election on them.
Any other question?
IBC accusing your supporters of
I can tell you that those are Kenyan citizens who are expressing their disapproval of what IBC is doing. And all along, IBC has operated as if Kenyans don't exist. So the Kenyans have been expressing to them that we don't want to participate on the vote. Don't force it on us. That's all. Actually, it's not our duty to help the IBC, because the IBC knows very well that they have proceeded with an unconstitutional process. So we are not going to sanitize what they have done, and they should stop intimidating people, because they are the ones who know very well that they failed to follow the proper procedure. Well, in our statement, we have given specific names, and I can tell you that even now, if you go into the media and you watch what is going on in different parts of the country, the presence of police and the brutality that is being meted out to Kenyan people, houses being broken into, is very, very serious and alarming. We may not be able to give you the numbers, but since the election was flouted, our estimate is that close to 70 people have died. Everything has its own time. The first thing we are trying to convey to our people at this point in time is that the first repeat election tomorrow, we want to make sure that they are not injured, and we are telling them to stay away because they might walk into a trap where they will be injured. That is our priority. We don't want any lives to be lost. Well, we'll speak to that in a few days' time. Let me be very candid on that. But let's just put it this way, that in my statement, I did say something about the Kenyans finally opening the servers. It speaks volumes, because what it means that the voter turnout that has now been manifest, and you have all captured it across the country, and the tally that is coming through, then you ask yourself the fundamental question. If Jubilee had the 8 million plus votes, how could they lose their support of almost 4 million people within a space of 2 months? That's the fundamental question. Okay. Na Bungoma ni wapi? Na Athiriva jana. Bangladesh wamepiga watu huko.
Just a minute, yeah.
Yeah, yani, yani,
You are the ones who are being used by the state to do ethnic profiling.
It's NTV, we told them yesterday.
NTV.
okay.
Stop ethnic exchange.
There's a final one.
Final one there.
Yeah, please.
Well, all I can say at this point in time, that is Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta speaking. All right? And I cannot speak for him. Okay? So he is the one to elaborate what he means.
We don't know.
The first thing is that Mr. Raila Odinga had, in the middle of October, had told them that he's not a candidate. They refused deliberately to remove his name from the ballot papers. So he was not a candidate. All right? So it's IEBC to explain to the Kenyan people where they managed, or they insisted they wanted Mr. Raila's name on the ballot, and he had pulled out. I think the position is that IEBC has been exposed. They had planned to do what they did on the 8th of August, and with Mr. Raila Odinga pulling out of the race, their game has been exposed, and they do not know what to do in order to try and sanitize their flawed process.
So.
Pressure. Pressure here.